maybe that could be a big difference there in that fight if they have just a little bit more. But we'll see if they can get it done in Game 2. Space Station versus Trifecta. Picks and bans are ready. And Taco, what are we expecting to see prioritized differently here? Does Aquarius get on that Aphrodite again? Do we see Mask on the Rat? I mean, what kind of adjustments do Trifecta have to make?
I don't even think that it's going to come down to the picks and bans this time around, Finch. I think that this is one of those games where Trifecta first have to overcome the hurdle of the mental block that's probably in their minds right now, because even though professional players are accustomed to the lifestyle of competitive and how stressful the environment can be, it is still such a mental wear down on you whenever you go through a match like that where you've been in the lead for such a large amount of the game, having such heavy control, and yet you simply cannot finish.
Yeah.
So if Trifecta aren't able to overcome the mental aspects, I think they're going to have a lot more problems than just the picks and bans.
And these are the brightest lights here in the SPL. Paul has experience, yes, but I mean, in a stage this big just yet, I'm not so sure. He was doing a ton of work. You couldn't really have asked Paul to do much more. Can he regroup then in Game 2 and still look good? Can the whole squad? I think it's a very fair question. I mean, I trust Trifecta, I trust their mental state, and these are very capable players, but that's a lot to ask of anybody in any situation to try and come back from a big loss like that.
Well, first things first, they are going to try and bring back this Athena pick. It was the same guy that they prioritized last time around in Game 1, and I think that for what it's worth, Neil had a pretty excellent game on the Athena. Tons of setup opportunities for Paul in the early game there. And also Mask, the disturbance factor between Mask and Neil, you never really knew which way one was going to approach you, and then you typically get slammed from the other direction by their synergy, and I really liked the way that they were able to maneuver.
Yeah, the early game really went in favor of Trifecta. They jumped out to a huge early lead, in part thanks to Mask. He helped set up that first blood for them and continue to do so on the BaRRaCCuDDa. He plays it so well. Let's see if they can try and replicate some of that early game aggression that they had, or a Space Station can be on much more even footing from the beginning here, as Hachiman Sylvanus, that's a strong duo lane for Jeff and Bear.
And they're going for the Agni Nemesis. Nemesis being the only real shake around. Last time we saw Athena, Agni, BaRRaCCuDDa. This time it'll be the Athena, Nemesis, Agni. So clear that Trifecta still want to prioritize their jungle support and mid lane selections. Kind of just waiting to see which their hunter would want to go with, but the double sustain comp, this isn't the first time we've seen this from Space Station. No,
not at all. They're very comfortable with this strat. In fact, they're going with the Aphrodite again after Game 1, where they've shown this card, and I guess after what Trifecta's response were, they still feel comfortable with it. So a ton of sustain. But why is Trifecta making the switch over to this or to the Nemesis from Rat? I mean, Mask had a great game, it felt like, in Game 1. Is it just to punish Sylvanus more? Or?
I think it's to focus out Jeff a little bit harder.
Sure.
I mean, he was already getting pretty heavily targeted during the early game, which is why Trifecta got off to such a great lead, because Gab is so hard to have survivability on in the early game, especially against guys like BaRRaCCuDDa and Athena that can afford to just sit on top of you and not really suffer from a lack of farm for it, since they have so much mobility here on the map. But Nemesis and Agni is a brutal combination to get caught up in between. My main concern here, though, is that Trifecta wouldn't ban away the Thoth that I would say probably made that game last for another 25 minutes longer than what he needed to.
They banned Giannis over Thoth, and I'm having a hard time justifying that one. I mean, Baskin's Phoenix defenses were absurd in that game. For as much damage as Paul was doing out there, it was kind of AoE and everywhere. Baskin was doing focus damage, getting right to the backline with that final judgment, and hurting Metyankey, making sure that it was harder for Paul to stand up in range of using the Agni bombs. He was forcing them back in a big way, and they didn't have an answer.
Ooh, the Mercury pickup. I am really liking this. Not only is this a guy that Mask has tended to stray towards, but also I think that andinster on the Mercury is going to pose a lot of issues, because he's going to be able to target out Metyankey yet again. I think that's why we see Trifecta choosing to ban Circuit in the 3rd, 4th, because even though it might not have seemed like it to the public eye, the Circuit had a lot of threat posed in terms of zoning control, because Metyankey couldn't afford to push up. If he pushes up too far, he's immediately collapsed on by the Circuit, and he has more than enough damage to take him out before the fight even begins. We saw that happen on more than one occasion in the last match, so just because a KDA isn't, the greatest of all time doesn't mean that the God pick isn't serving some form of relevance.
Yeah, in fact, Mercury can get to the back line and kill Metyankey and, stun people on the way. It's pretty darn good to be able to go all the way to the back line with that Mercury ability. So, I mean, you're seeing both these drafts. Trifecta coming off a tough loss. I mean, which way you leaning here, Taco?
I would have to give it to Space Station, just because I I think that Trifecta has a nice draft, but I don't think they're going to be able to overcome that mental block.
Well, let's see if Trifecta can get it done here in Game 2, force a Game 3. They've been looking great so far in the summer split. Let's see if they can keep that going. Casters, take it away.
Trifecta and Spacestation Gaming going down to the wire in game number 1. Certainly not something you should snooze on.
Definitely not. And Taco brought it up perfectly to end that desk segment. It's the mentality between these two teams heading into game 2. Trifecta need to sweep this under the rug, and Space Station are feeling great after that when considering they were behind the whole game.
We you know, this is interesting because I want to approach this as you as a player. Take off your caster jacket and put on your jersey real quick. Not on Twitch. But what I do want to say is, as commentators, I think we kind of label players as emotional or whatnot, and Mask has been painted with that brush. That sometimes these losses can get into his head more so than other players. As a player, Toli, is that something that you take exception with? Do you not like when commentators say that? Because we've seen that wind up being truthful, but you know, is that something that we should focus on?
You got to use the Wolfie mentality. You got to take that to heart and use that against your opposition. Show the critics, show everybody that they're wrong, that you're playing your own style, that it works for you and what it does. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. And if Trifecta want to get better as a cohesive unit, it needs to be on all cylinders, not just Mask, but also everybody involved. Metyankey had some lapses of judgment as well when he didn't survive some of those encounters by still holding on to those defensive relics.
We've seen Herwind, also a player that has been painted as an emotional player or whatnot, take that and use that as fuel to fuel himself. I think Soar last year or season 3 really did it for me, where Herwind was repeatedly lambasted as a certain type of player, and he said, you know what, I'm just going to be the guy that stands up and does it for my team. I'm really hoping Mask can pull this out because I think that Mask has come a long way. And I think Mask is this player that has been stuck in purgatory for a while, Toli, where he's great and people are starting to recognize that he's great, but he hasn't had that opportunity quite like Polar Bear Mike, right? Polar Bear Mike did the ramp up, and now he's on eUnited, and he's been able to step into himself. I think Mask has been this player that's ready to be a leader, but just hasn't found the squad to lead just yet. And I think this could be the team, Anatoly. How do you feel?
I think so, considering the way he was brought up in the SPL. He started at like eUnited, or sorry, he starts off in Denial, I think it was. Goes to Envy, goes back to Denial, joins like 2 different teams in between until he finally finds his home in Trifecta. Playing for Luminosity during season 4 a little bit there. As they made it to the semifinals against season 3.
And that was,
I think it was.
That was this Space Station roster essentially, right? When it was Luminosity, that was Jeff and BaRRaCCuDDa and these guys.
It was some of the members, yes, because Sword Gaming had andinster and Baskin for season 3. Luminosity still had obviously Jeff and BaRRaCCuDDa. They had Mask and Xeno.
He's played with kind of everybody, and kind of finding himself here on this squad, I guess, isn't really all that surprising. Because you look at Metyankey, another player that has really fought to find himself a home despite being incredibly talented. Scary D, I mean, I was not on board, but certainly am now. I see what the players were talking about. And Paul, the recent call-up, and NeiruMah, another great player that never really found his home. I love the poetic justice of Mask taking all these players, giving them a home, finding himself a home, and now being the conductor for this train. He's going to get stunned out here and maybe even first blooded, but he finds the safety under the tower with the beads until Baskin comes to the long range.
The range from the Thoth is what makes it so tempting to first pick whenever given the opportunity.
Oh, hot pull by JeffHindla. Metyankey immediately snapping into the Aegis. Another route will be good, but the taunt from NeiruMah. Heads up play by the Trifecta support, but they did lose their jungler. First blood to Space Station.
Action in the mid and action in the dual lane. This Thoth goes for Baskin after secondary ban phase yet again. How do people still not realize that Baskin on this Thoth is a nightmare? You don't necessarily need to be level 20 to make Thoth successful. Baskin making it happen at level 3.
Baskin playing, or Paul reminding me of Baskin is what I should say. Baskin has solidified himself as the barometer, and I think Paul's play reminds me of Baskin, where it is very aggressive. Baskin there gets first blood because he aggressively dashes and looks for the finger wag and gets the kill after the fact on the enemy's tower. It's an extremely aggressive play, and I like to see these two mid laners sort of bang heads.
But it's calculated because both Paul and Mask was aggressing onto andinster. Mask was basically on the retreat. He took too much damage, used the beats, tries to double dash into the safety of his own tier 1 tower, but Thoth at level 3, you have your all 3 first abilities being able to make that range extension, gets the first blood, easy peasy.
The fact that andinster was involved as well. He doesn't get the first blood kill, that goes to Baskin, but the fact that he gets the assist is also not a good look for Trifecta. I think Mercury and maybe a Thanatos, these are the characters that scare me the most when they get an early kill or an early leap ahead, because of the fact that Mercury is incredibly item dependent, and once he's able to get that first little bit of critical strike online, you really just start getting one-shotted no matter what.
I look at the same way with Kali, maybe Naja every now and then.
Yeah.
Naja could be handled if you get the Mad Guy's Cloak, but Mercury definitely on the next level. So I'm hoping, for Trifecta's sake, they get some anti-attack speed. I'm looking for the Witchblade, maybe Merguardian Mail, and that's going to be the key elements to really stop andinster in his track. Even Horrific Emblem upgraded is not a bad idea.
I like the Horrific Emblem a little bit more because it also lowers the damage that you're outputting. And one of the bigger things that Mercury does is everybody thinks of him as a basic attack character, which isn't necessarily untrue, but because of the passive and his nature to build into crit strike, he's killing you in 2 shots. He's not sitting there like a Hunter or like a Kali, just he's looking to go, punch, you are dead. And so being able to respond to that with anti-attack speed can kind of be almost off the mark sometimes.
And the thing is, people think the hard counter to Mercury is the shell, in which case they are right. The upgraded shell giving you those 2 damage or 2 basic attacks absorptions. If you reduce the attack speed, you're still going to be almost as effective, if not more, because Mercury will eventually have enough attack speed to go through the shell upgrade and still blow you up.
Jeff again on the mark with the pull. It's going to send the Hunter up to the sky. BaRRaCCuDDa getting harassed by NeiruMah. Metyankey lands early and quickly finds some return damage. BaRRaCCuDDa on the horse, gets the slow. Metyankey can't dash. Banner's going to be off the mark. BaRRaCCuDDa in traffic, dashes forward, gets the kill. That's going to be a kill for BaRRaCCuDDa.
No mana for JeffHindla to follow up with a pull or the sustain, but BaRRaCCuDDa capitalizing the fact that Metyankey, without too much mana, dashes backwards, but that cavalry charge can follow beyond the Ram dash. Clean opportunity. BaRRaCCuDDa, a methodical sniper when it comes to the dueling.
Almost any other character has to leave that kill on the shelf because of the fact that Metyankey intelligently put himself in the middle of all of those minions. But Aiajutsu goes right on through, gives BaRRaCCuDDa the ability to get past those minions and find the final basic attack for the kill. Great play coming out from the local Georgia Hunter.
I like that little encounter between Jeff and BaRRa at their own purple buff. As it drops, they both back. And like, BaRRa's like, wait, you're not picking this up? And Jeff's like, no, you got it, honey. And it's like, okay, thanks, sweetie.
I'm sure that's exactly the way their conversation went.
I mean, if you've seen their stream, yes.
Just don't tell Destiny.
What Destiny doesn't know won't hurt her.
Spacestation Gaming, Trifecta. Head-to-head here. Very close. Man... That one could have easily gone over to Trifecta's in game number 1. You're talking andinster, though. What about him?
The thing was, he was positioned behind the tier 1 dual lane tower as a Mercury. And the thing was, they just killed Metyankey, and they know his Aegis is down. The Sprint also down from NeiruMah. They have these timers in their head. andinster stepping there for about 5 seconds, realizing, all right, they're going to hug their tier 1 tower. Not going to waste my time any longer. Always be clear and gets his own speed buff, looking for more farm on the right.
Scary D on the Hercules. I mentioned Cucullin was a very powerful pick for Scary D. Hercules has been very powerful as well. Baskin trying to keep that power in bay, and one ultimate is going to miss. The Mercury hits it. Scary D able to find an exit, and mass kills Baskin. A rare misplaced ultimate from Wooney.
That's true.
And that's going to lead to the demise of the mid laner. And And with a rotation, Trifecta, 4 players strong on the right-hand side. Looking for more, but there's not much more to take.
Scary D with a perfect excavate, giving him CC immunity long enough while he drives the boulder forward to not only avoid the Mercury ultimate, but because of andinster's aggressiveness or non-patience, uses the Mercury dash while he's still CC immune, so not going to pull the Hercules into the thick of things.
Well, Paul's going to be surrounded here. On top is the jungler, on bottom is the hunter, and underground is the Paul. Mid lane goes down for the first time.
Like a hyena pack circling their prey. They get in the middle of Paul, and then they just collapse outside of the circle. It's like a raid boss. You're like avoiding the bombs firing in. They go in, they go out. Perfect execution. Baskin coming in with a stun cleanup, redeeming himself from the solo lane.
Also, that's how you got to collapse on the Agni, right? You keep both of your options open because he has such a wide range dash. So you give him the breathing room. And then as soon as you coalesce, he dashes and you choose an option. NeiruMah taunts to protect his hunter. He'll likely fall here.
The dot's too strong, and NeiruMah taunts thinking that Metyankey is going to be the one to get aggressed on, but no, it's the Athena.
Yeah, easy. Well, Metyankey, I think, was the original target, and NeiruMah turns himself in. That's NeiruMah just pulling a clips and just taking one for the squad, letting his teammate continue on.
And between Sylvanus and input hunter here, it's enough CC to find a kill on almost any low-level guardian.
Sure. Scary D, double push, double flip, double ult. There's the damage from Mask. Andinster escapes underneath the tower. Aquarius healing up.
Baskin.
And Baskin with a stun through the wall. Ultimate gonna line up and gonna miss that one again.
Tried to hit onto Mask, but he only hit Scary D instead. This time it's Paul raining the bomb. Scary D doesn't care about Baskin's damage. He wanted Aquarius, but this time the Hercules could get punished.
Scary D taking some poke. Did Baskin miss that ultimate, or was it just Nem Shield?
No, he wanted to hit Mask for sure, but he missed it. It only hit Scary D. Scary D actually with a pull and the push on the right side. Meanwhile, in the mid lane, Paul throwing out the bombs. Andinster catching out Scary D. He doesn't have the driving strike, and that's a clean pick.
Ultimate going against Scary D. BaRRaCCuDDa again finds a kill. Number 3 for the hunter.
So these rotations from BaRRaCCuDDa have been on point so far. You don't normally see a level 9 hunter make not 1 but 2 rotations at 10 minutes in the middle lane. Not only that, he's ahead in the stacking department of these Devo gloves.
And I think that's the power of the mid-game hunter. Mass trying to walk down Aquarius, and there comes the jungler, and he'll walk away. I think it's the power of the mid-game hunter. Right? With the Ram selection, Metyankey is nowhere near as effective making that rotation. As opposed to BaRRaCCuDDa, he's got the damage from the banner. The ultimate is going to allow him not only to chase down targets, but also traverse the map a little bit better. It's just this choice of character allows BaRRa to be so mobile.
It's just complete domination from both BaRRa and Jeff in the duo lane because Metyankey is freezing the lane. BaRRa's thinking to himself, I either farm here and just chill, or I can make the plays happen in the mid lane. And so far, both of his rotations have been very fruitful. 3-0-1, a part of 80% of Spacestation's kills.
Offensive warding coming out from Spacestation to the left-hand side. Trifecta trying to hang on for dear life as they find themselves 1,600 gold down already. Game number 1, quite the opposite. SSG was looking up. But in game number 2, they have already ascended. They're up in the stratosphere.
He's not even going to beat BaRRa. Not worried. He just holds on to every single defensive relic. He uses the ultimate aggressively, but he did not expect Mask.
Big play. BaRRa takes out Metyankey anyway. NeiruMah misses the reach. This could be the end. Does find the kill, but the punish is here. Baskin with the stun. Baskin with 2. Baskin again misses, but Andinster won't. Paul lines up JeffHindla. And Andy with a great ultimate
Baskin on NeiruMah finds another secondary one. 2 for 2. Baskin a little off the mark this game with some of his ultimates, but Andinster overshooting his target creates enough of a distraction to allow Baskin to at least clean up. A hunter support for hunter support. Sure, Spacestation would have wanted it to be a little bit cleaner, but all things considered, Spacestation still with a little bit of a lead as we approach the 12-minute mark.
Spacestation putting on a clinic here. I think they're just playing very textbook right now. Nothing really out of the ordinary. I guess you could say the early hunter rotations were a little bit out of the ordinary. So maybe I'll rescind my statement
Can we talk about the way Baskin was, oh, I'm sorry, how BaRRaCCuDDa was able to survive long enough to still find the kill onto Metyankey after he lands? The mechanics on John Solitaire today is just astronomical.
I mean, break that down a little bit. How was he able to escape?
So he has to worry about Mask that's right in front of his face. And as he's like juking and weaving not only Mask, but also the shots from the sky from Metyankey, it's up to JeffHindla to find the Wrath of Terror. He buys BaRRa that 1 second moment. BaRRa is thinking that he's dead, so he's like, all right, let me 180, use the extension of my range on my steroid ability, finds the hit, he's like, oh, okay, I got one, maybe I'll live here. Barely avoids the dash from NeiruMah, but the double reach passive from the Athena did just enough damage to apply lethal.
Nice stuff from NeiruMah, but heads up thinking from all the players, honestly, involved in that team fight. ScaryD, again, going to strip Aquarius of his blue buff, so no regen for the Aphrodite. That said, she's got the blue boots. I think she's good right now.
For now. Lotus Crown to get the physical defense and the extra protections. Doesn't have the MP5 that you would like from the Breastplate of Valor, but sitting at level 14, actually a level higher than ScaryD, Aquarius is in a decent spot to start making these rotations, same way BaRRa has been.
14 minutes in total here, folks. A little bit of a reprieve, which is kind of I'm down. 10 kills in 14 minutes. Very exciting, but I don't mind having a chance to breathe and observe the ambiance for a moment. And then very quickly, Spacestation can break that up and take the Gold Fury nice and easy there.
Heavenly Banner for additional attack speed. Not only ups BaRRa, but this mid-game andinster Mercury that already has haste and katana. That attack speed is going to be maxed out once he pops that steroid ability. Now working on the crit. ScaryD needs not only Thorns, but this height of Nemean line.
That's the key. You and I were talking earlier about the attack speed of Mercury and how he's a basic attack character. Mask might be as well, but his ability is cutting down JeffHindla.
Good route.
Has Aphrodite in his, or has the Athena in his pocket.
Great route onto Mask. Prevents the Defender of Olympus from touching JeffHindla for even the potential chase down. Getting Athena closer to you to taunt, to use that shield wall.
Ho! NeiruMah with eyes on the back of his head. The Mercury ultimate is responded to by an Athena dash. That's hot heat. Wow. Shout out to NeiruMah hanging out in Cairo.
I was still looking at some of the other things on the map. I was like, all right, this is a wash. JeffHindla lived. Let's break it down. No, Anderson is like, look at me.
And that was, I mean, the thing with that Mercury ultimate that I really want to drive home is that NeiruMah doesn't see the Mercury leave. He's behind the tower. He's out of vision range.
There is a small glimmer. If you can have clear line of sight vision, you can still see like something shining.
He was looking in the jungle, which is the craziest part.
That I didn't notice. Yeah. But if you are looking at the tower, you could see the glimmer. If you hear the clap, as long as you're charged up with the dash, you can respond.
It was the sound that as Mercury comes down the lane. He already had the charged up, obviously, because he's able to just instant click. But he's looking into the jungle and just dashes away from the ultimate. That's one where Andin goes, that's the one where the jungle leaves and goes, all right, dude. Like, you tip your hat to the opposing team sometimes. Yeah, that's just a lights-out reaction time from NeiruMah. 10 points. 10 points to the support player for Trifecta.
And the thing is, andinster was all in the right to try to make that play happen. The ultimate from NeiruMah, Metyankey, and Mask was all used in the 3-on-2 situation. Spacestation trying to make a counter engage happen. Didn't find it there, but it wouldn't surprise me if they keep trying.
That's a kill 95% of the time. NeiruMah just finds the excellent reaction. Just so quick on it. And NeiruMah, his name, and we've been very familiar with this guy over the years. Coming into Trifecta, he's been one of the more effective rookies, I think, in the league.
And the way he's positioning himself in the laning phase, he's hugging this right side of the wall, trying to avoid some vision from Spacestation, but he walks over the Sentry Ward. Not only that, hugging that side of the jungle prevents any sort of clear indication that Mercury will go on you.
Yep.
If Mercury's going to go on somebody in the duel lane, it's going to be Metyankey, and at least NeiruMah can taunt peel for the Hunter. You don't want to be in a situation where both players get hit by the same ability. one Athena taunt that hits both members is the goal from the Athena. But you also got to think about the defensive side of your opposition.
And that's one of the things that have always really shown about this player, or shined. I don't know. I speak for a living. I don't know the words. Pyromancer are going to be expressed on by Spacestation. But I've mentioned before that NeiruMah has been in the scene seemingly forever. And just now really getting his pro league shot. All of the high-end players know this guy. They're aware of his skill set. And he's always been on the outside looking in, now finally getting his shot. And it's those little things. I'm happy that you bring up the fact that he's just spending his time on the set. Because it's the instincts that really do it for me. He just instinctually knows not to be next to his teammates so he can find that taunt. He seems to find these plays that are instinct-driven. And I love that coming out from the rookie support, and it does feel odd calling NeiruMah, but he is new to the league technically, so welcome, buddy.
And they're trying to get a sneaky fast one on the Pyromancer, gets caught out by ScaryD. Baskin trading out shots with some of these bombs. Paul, not afraid to mix it up with the best of them.
Yeah, he gets the mix up, like I said. Mostly people will bomb stun, but if you are quick enough and have the reliable ping, you can flame wave and then drop the noxious fumes right after and stun off of your 2, and that's what we're seeing Paul do. And with that mix-up, it's interesting because you will stun. Flame Wave is medium range,
yes,
and Noxious Fumes is further than that. You can trick the opposition into getting stunned, because when the bombs are coming down, you can see that and you can avoid that. With Flame Wave, you can get surprised, and Paul has done that a number of times here, and the Agni has looked very, very nice.
Especially if you overshoot your bomb on purpose to get them to come closer to you. Could help out your Flame Wave and root onto NeiruMah. Wrath of Terror being used up in the sky, not able to steal it.
Oh, so close. Trifecta here on the run as they try to hunt down Spacestation. A nice stun keeps ScaryD at bay, and that will keep Trifecta at bay. Just shy of 20 minutes. Spacestation Gaming have 7 of our 10 kills, and with that gold fury, find themselves 4,300 gold above Trifecta.
Their second goal fury of the game, which is surprising considering they're kind of this late game composition, but same could be said about Trifecta. With Mask getting very low, needs to disengage. Trifecta get the Pyromancer, but at what cost? BaRRaCCuDDa actually taking a lot of damage from the bombs and the boulder.
Oh, Paul narrowly avoids the nonsense out of andinster as he finds the long-range ultimate. Everybody from Trifecta safe besides ScaryD. There's a little bit of mitigation by way of NeiruMah. Landing down, JeffHindla in trouble. ScaryD heals up. Ooh. Baskin gets NeiruMah through the wall.
Look at Paul. He's trying to look for the bomb stuns over. Here comes Mask. He's healthy now. He blinks in. ScaryD trying to mix it up. Andinster in the backline. He gets a double.
ScaryD with the all-team push. Great job from the solo laner, but it's a little too late. Multi-kill going the way of andinster's Mercury. 3, if I'm not mistaken. 4 players in total fall down in that team fight. And Paul, the only one alive, just gonna watch.
That team fight was Spacestation's all over with how much damage they applied onto Mask. He had to back to base. 5-on-4 window for Spacestation. They used that ability to chase everyone down. Even with andinster missing his ultimate, the rest of Trifecta are spreading almost like cockroaches once the light goes on in the kitchen away from this Mercury, but still not enough to disengage.
Just dominance from Spacestation. I don't think there's another way to put it, Toli.
The shots from Baskin was lackluster at the beginning of the game, but it stepped up now. His final judgment started it off, taking out NeiruMah. And honestly, for Trifecta, ScaryD was able to survive very long. Defender of Olympus applied enough mitigation. They mitigate wounds, the build coming out of ScaryD, enough physical defense to absorb andinster, and BaRRaCCuDDa gets a huge heal at the tail end of it all. But without Excavate, without any sort of other follow-up ultimates out of Trifecta, it was Spacestation's fights to win all over.
And they're certainly looking to take that fight and turn that into the game. 6,000 gold in the lead. Spacestation Gaming certainly looking cleaner than they did in game number 1. Or maybe that's a question.
They have been looking cleaner.
That's the answer, because I was going to ask you, Did Trifecta just play better in game number 1, or is Spacestation Gaming stepping it up?
It was Spacestation stepping it up. Remember how andinster tried to play aggressive at level 2 and got punished for it. Metyankey not winning that 1v1. When andinster tried to make an aggressive play at level 2 in the first game, it was Mask's Ratatasker stun, which allowed Paul to find the first blood.
Yep.
And that's where things kind of allowed Trifecta to continue the momentum. This time, Spacestation didn't allow that sort of shenanigans. andinster, I think, actually helps Baskin get the first blood onto Mask, and this is Spacestation's early game momentum showing its signs.
Well, there goes the tier 2 tower. Tier 1, the appetizer.
Look at Andy.
Tier 2, the side salad. Phoenix gonna be the main course. There's andinster cutting right through. ScaryD gonna dash out to safety. Mask is gonna be alive for the moment thanks to NeiruMah helping out the teammate with that mitigation. Left side Phoenix goes down, and Spacestation hungry for another course.
They got one. They could still go for another with Fire Giant around their waist for another 1 minute 45 seconds. Stripping away the red buff, taking that away from a level 20 Agni. 5 items deep is a good way to extend your own lead.
Here's an indication of the question that I asked you earlier. Did Trifecta really step up, or was Spacestation just playing a little bit better? I think Spacestation is playing better in game number 2, but I think Trifecta absolutely proved themselves as a team that's not to be trifled with, and Spacestation giving them the respect here. I think SSG just goes from left Phoenix to mid Phoenix against Spring Split Spacestation. But this team looks strong, and so they're going to give them respect and back off before they come for another look. ScaryD off the mark with the stun.
Trying to make it happen, but Aquarius with a great ultimate. Final judgment, little off the mark, but Metyankey still cautious enough to use his Aegis, forced on back. ScaryD trying to find the pull. Not able to make it happen. JeffHindla leading the charge, looking for the pull. Fire Giant still around SSG's waist for another 50 seconds.
Here's the minions. JeffHindla not going to find the grab. Right side is andinster. Keep your eye on the assassin.
4.
Beautiful knock-up from the support player, and Andy's on the back line. He's behind everybody. Looking for the hunter, won't find him. Looking for Mask, will find him. No kill just yet. Paul trying to punish. Metyankey trying to punish. Double dash trying to punish. Paul finally gets andinster.
It's a bait because the SSG gets the middle. Phoenix, andinster sacrificing his life for the greater good. ScaryD making the chase, wants to find the pull onto Baskin. Meanwhile, mid lane, NeiruMah using that Defender of Olympus onto Mask. It's not enough.
And down goes the support. Jungle down, NeiruMah down, ScaryD alive for now. Stunned out, and Spacestation makes me change my words. Double kill for BaRRaCCuDDa.
Can this be game? Without NeiruMah, without ScaryD, Trifecta don't have much of a beefy front line. They need the bombs from Paul. A lot of damage onto Aquarius. Dash in from Paul. He uses the Aegis just out of the Jeff pull range. Spacestation, yet again, look for a fancy play. They don't get it, but they get Paul's Aegis.
Fire Giant up in about 40 seconds, and that's going to send Spacestation Gaming back into the jungle. They're going to be looking to retreat, most likely, all the way back to base. Look for the Fire Giant, and then look for the right-hand side.
It's going to be the enhanced Fire Giant. 30% additional structure damage. Tier 2 remaining in the solo side out of Trifecta. Not due to last much longer with the right side Phoenix. I think Spacestation are going to be methodical about this one. They have to respect how tanky ScaryD really is. It's not the fact that they have Mask's ultimate, so trying to burn this Hercules, easier said than done.
Absolutely. I mean, we've seen ScaryD escape plenty of situations. 0-3-2 for the young solo laner. And I think this is a prime example. You know, you guys get the short end of the stick a lot. Everybody looks at support. But you look at this slash line of 0-3-2 for ScaryD, and he has had a fine game. Scary has played. He's done what he does. You know what doesn't reach the scoreboard? Amount of times successfully zoned. You know what doesn't reach the scoreboard? Amount of times giving himself up for an objective. The amount of times he's stunned 4 people at once, 3 people at once. And that really has had the impact for Trifecta. Unfortunately for them, not a big enough impact. 13,000 gold. Spacestation's junior right now as SSG prepare themselves for what could be the final push on the right side of the map.
Those kinds of things might not get you any sort of stats on the scoreboard, but it gets you a lot of points in the locker room before and during / after. Win or lose, whenever these teams reassessed how the game goes. It's like, all right, this is what I was doing, this is what I was thinking, and maybe I could change this up, or maybe not, because the way SPL has been playing, it seems like all things were fine. It just, the early game start, Mask not having that momentum on the Nemesis hinders Trifecta, whereas in the game number 1, Mask having the early game momentum for BaRRaCCuDDa helped them.
Spacestation Gaming have the momentum now. The wind in their sails, looking for the right side Phoenix. 75% on this bird. Left side has respawn. JeffHindla leading the charge for Spacestation Gaming.
SPL getting stunned out. Tries to avoid the pull. That's why he dashed sideways. Andinster in the backline catches out Metyankey. Aegis being used. Paul on the left side, forcing out the Aegis out of BaRRaCCuDDa. There goes NeiruMah. He's forced to disengage, but Andinster's the one in trouble.
Good damage from Paul, but doesn't seem to be enough. Andy hanging on by a thread. Same to be said about SPL till Baskin pulls that thread and watches the sweater unravel. Spacestation Gaming not wheezing, full of breath, full of air, full of life, and full of potential, going right towards the Titan.
Oh, Metyankey just surviving, but this Titan doesn't have much life left. It's a 5-on-3. Needs to find the stun, but it's onto Mask. He gets rooted into place, double dashes into the fountain. Spacestation with their second win of the set.
This time, Spacestation a little bit different. Game number 1, Titan had 1,700 HP. Game number 2, there are 5 towers standing.
Yep.
Spacestation Gaming turn things around completely and take this one to the graveyard.
It's all the early game. Mask gets the first blood in game 1, gets first blooded in game number 2. Actually, it was Paul that got the first blood in game 1. But either way, Mask either getting the momentum early or gets hindered early is the big momentum swing that Trifecta really experiences in their sets.
Really tough stuff there for Trifecta, a team that I do think has improved. With that said, SSG are the ones that take the victory. Who is the most valuable player this time around? I ask Mixer that every time, and I ask you occasionally. This time, who you think?
I think BaRRaCCuDDa played lights out at the beginning of the game. He was very much involved in the middle action. The double rotation was clutch. Being able to 180 and kill Metyankey before dying was also a great awareness. So I'm giving it to BaRRaCCuDDa.
Also, got to give it to the hometown hero. Fantastic job at rotating early and often on the Hachiman. I think really led his team into the mid-game and allowed them to take the eventual victory. That's it for us here. Let's break it down on the desk.
Thank you, Tom and Toli. If Game 1 was a very close barn burner, then Game 2 is anything but. Spacestation able to look dominant in that Game 2 and able to get it done. A couple key things that went their way. I mean, andinster and Mercury, always going to be good. No pressure onto the solo lane Aphrodite. I mean, what was the big takeaway there for you, Taco?
I think that Trifecta were kind of just hanging in by a thread there. Just starting off with game number 2. We talked about it before even heading into the match, that Trifecta were going to have to deal with the whole mental aspect of what happened in game number 1 and how they ended up losing that overall. But there was so much early aggression out of Trifecta that didn't really pan out for them. It was constantly being turned against them, even in Spacestation, getting off to a very nice lead. I remember specifically one point where the Spacestation were even leading by 4-1, and then Trifecta are still looking to play aggressive near Spacestation's blue buff, but it just doesn't lead to anything. Instead, Aquarius able to survive. You've got andinster who's just running all around in circles.
He is, yeah.
And, I mean, it's kind of what you expect from a Mercury, but it just felt like Trifecta were never really on the same page with each other in comparison to their Game 1 performance.
They really weren't allowed to be after an impressive performance by Spacestation, but your MVP, selected by Mixer Chat, is going to be BaRRaCCuDDa. And I think you might be able to make a case for him being an MVP for the set. He certainly showed up in a big way for them in both games on this Hachiman looking strong, but especially here in Game 2, having impacts in the middle lane, really winning the duo lane too, and kind of just rotating early and looking like BaRRaCCuDDa of old. He has been here in this summer split, really after the LAN. I feel like BaRRaCCuDDa started to come back into himself.
Oh, I think this is the kill. That was actually one of my favorites earlier on, where he gets out with like 10% health and still finds the kill in the process, and that's going to be it exactly. Metyankey, it's so unfortunate, man, every single time.
Yeah, it's just BaRRaCCuDDa staying alive in those fights, that time in the jungle corridor, getting a bunch of abilities baited out on him and still trading. I believe he went up and even dodged the dash coming out from the Athena too from NeiruMah and forced even more of an overcommit there, and then NeiruMah gets punished. So BaRRaCCuDDa really doing a great job, not just finding kills, but also baiting out responses from the others.
Also super rough for Trifecta because Space Station, they 180 from their original draft in game one and prioritized some early game options for the secondary matchup against Trifecta. So another one of the leading contributors for as to why Space Station closed the set out so cleanly.
I mean, it didn't feel like that big of a switch up for me. I mean, like BaRRaCCuDDa is still in the same pick, Aphrodite
the Sylvanus
on the
though.
Aquarius, but the Sylvanus, yes, did give them a lot of early pressure.
That's a huge swap up, and it might not seem very large. It seems like kind of small or minuscule, but in the long run, it's just that the Sylvanus is actually able to help ensure that BaRRaCCuDDa has that dual lane pressure from the start, and I think that was something that was heavily missed out on in game one for Space Station.
Well, I mean, it was Mask playing a little bit differently on this one, too, right? He goes to the Nemesis opposed to the Ratatosker. So they don't have quite as easy of a time punishing, but the Geb in game one, right, I think he played in game one, does get punished a little bit more than that Sylvanus. Either way, though, Trifecta not quite able to get it done. They were so close in game one, but Space Station was able to hang on in that game, and they take the set. In fact, let's go ahead and take a look at all the matches that we saw happening already with that schedule. We'll get that up for you here in just a moment. I mean, it's been a long week up until this point here, Taco, and all these teams were able to get that fighting done. In fact, we're actually going to take a look towards next week here with the week 3 schedule, and it's going to be some pretty big sets that are coming up early. Space Station versus Splyce. We just saw Space Station against Trifecta. Splyce is the other team that's kind of up and coming right now. Even some big sets in EU too.
A lot of heavy-handed matchups, actually. These are complete and total slugfest that we are lining up for. I still don't think that we've seen everything Splyce has to offer. I know that they went down in a pretty... It was a pretty brutal fashion that eUnited took them out with, but I'm really looking forward to seeing how things go on Monday between Space Station and Splyce. I think that's still an ample opportunity for them to try and prove themselves.
Then you got Rival versus Obey coming after that. That's a big matchup there in EU. A tough week for SK Gaming as they have to go up against Energy and Dignitas. That's going to be very telling about if they're closer to the top than we thought they were. So tons of matches there. In fact, let's go ahead and take a look at where everyone is already standing at the end of week 2. We made it to the end of week 2. Does it feel like it, Taco? It feels like it's been moving so fast. But here it is. Space Station up at the top, 4-0 of North America, looking very strong. And Dignitas, 3-1 at the top of Europe.
I feel like the standings are almost a bit deceiving even towards how some of these matches have gone, because even in the sets where teams have fallen to 2-0 losses, it hasn't necessarily been close or one-sided, I should say. It's actually been really close between a lot of these teams, and I think that SK roster lineup, or not roster lineup, but their schedule for next week, having to fight into Energy and the likes, it's going to be very difficult opposition, but that team has seemed like they are very rejuvenated and prepared for the summer split. They constantly talk about publicly how they're like really excited because it feels as though we are improving. I think that's something to keep an eye out for. Could lead to some fun matchups.
Well, they've been right there, haven't they, in so many sets, and they've maintained their confidence, a ton of experience on that roster, and I think they will hopefully have a chance to see some of that come to fruition here in this next week, as they're going to have some big boy opponents across the way from them. But we actually have a ton of events, a ton of things we're going to be bringing to you all. Let's actually show you all the schedule that you can look forward to on when some of our events are going to be coming out. So we got the Esports Weekly, 10 a.m. every Monday. Then the Console Series is going to be 11 a.m. And then you can see the Global Series and SML Tuesday through Friday. Those will be at 11, and then 1, and then SPL always starting for you at 3 o'clock Monday through Friday.
And the Esports Weekly showing also, it's a bit of an early bird special. So for some of you morning risers, I think that's a great chance for you to tune in and check out, see what some of the preferred picks are, at least from a couple of the casters, and maybe get some more insight as to what kind of gods and like item choices and things of the like are popular right now.
Yeah, good to see Taco drop some knowledge on Hindu, man. He's going to come up here and
I got wrecked this week. I'm not even kidding. I got fragged. I'd be surprised if I have like 40%. I think I have 40% from my predictions.
You took a couple risky picks this week, but I liked them. Some
risky
spicy
for the
picks,
biscuit, man. You gotta. I had to have some fun with it eventually.
That's right. We can't all come here and predict the same stuff. But Taco had great reasons for all those picks. Everyone does. They come up and talk a little bit more about the matches and what you can expect from those sets. So it's a great show. Check it out. Everyone really is involved. Even get a nice little moment of Toli at the end for some interesting time there towards the end. Last time we waxed his chest, right?
Oh, God, that still hurts to, like, think about. That hurt me to think about.
I was right there watching. I was horrified.
I don't even have hair on my chest, but, like, I just wouldn't want to go through that.
No, I don't think anyone would, and totally volunteered for it. But let's go ahead and talk about what you can expect from Smite throughout the year here, or really from just esports throughout the year. We're going to have the Summer Land coming July 25th once Summer Split is over. I'm very much looking forward to the All-Star event. Last year's was really cool where we had them draft teams, so hopefully we're going to do something very similar for that, moving into the fall split and the placement round. So you can expect just about everyone to be involved in the Smite World Championship here this time around, starting in November.
Aiming to bring the best of the best for that competition in the heart of Atlanta, as Tom likes to call it, and for good reason. There is a lot that's been happening down there, including the DreamHack event.
That's right. You're going to get to see us there November 16th through 18th, not just Smite, but the Console World Championship for Smite. Paladin's going to be there. Paladin's Console Wars. So you're going to want to make sure you grab that DreamHack ticket. Come on through, see me, see Taco, your favorite players, coaches, some of the other talent pieces as well. Everyone going to be there.
And we have to say that for a reason, because it really is a whole new type of experience, just getting to come out, hang out with some of your friends, meet some new friends, and it's always just such a fun time. And it's not even purely about Smite or the hi-rez titles. You can also just have an awesome time experiencing the area and getting to see some of the other games that are also going to be at DreamHack.
That's right. It can be as much Smite as you want or as much other stuff as you want. You can come see Smite, go see some of the other events that are there. There's a ton of options available to you. More is generally better. I think in this case, it almost certainly is. So we definitely want y'all to come out and hang with us for DreamHack. Taco will be there. I don't know if Taco's going to dab for you, but she might do like a little chicken dance.
I'll dab after you.
Dab after me? I'll dab for you all. I'll dab to get Taco to dab.
Will you do it right now?
No.
There you have it, folks.
I'll dab at HRX. You got to get a ticket. You got to come see it.
So that's the feature presentation.
Right. It goes the actual like finals to determine who the Smite World Championship is, and then Finch dab it.
The winner just gets to see you dab on stage.
There's no trophy,
there's no prizing or anything. It's just you dabbing.
It's me and them in a private room. They get to see me dab. They earn that from us. But that is going to do it here for us at the end of the day. Thank you so much for joining us. We'll be right back with you all on Monday morning. We're also doing a rebroadcast throughout the weekend. So if you missed anything, just check right back here. We'll be running everything back through. And check back with us on Monday for Esports Weekly.